We sit around and complain. We scream about how broken the culture is, how kids today are soft, disrespectful, confused. We say, it wasn't like this when I grew up. And you know what? You're right. It was different. When I was growing up, I went to church every week. I respected my parents, even when I didn't like what they said. TV had limits. There was morals on TV. There was censorship on TV. We played outside until the streetlights came on. We looked people in the eye. We got scraped knees and we learned resilience. But then our generation, it grew up and something shifted. We stopped taking our families to church. We stopped honoring God as the authority. We allowed disrespect and called it self-expression. We put our kids on pedestals and taught them that the world revolved around them. We erased the boundaries and replaced it with comfort. We handed our kids screens and called it parenting. And now we've raised a generation that's anxious, confused, isolated, addicted, and downright angry. And we're sitting here complaining about the result. Let's stop pretending this isn't our fault. We did this, guys. We as men did this. And it's our time to own it. Once we own it, we can do something about it.
Leaders are not born in a womb. They are forged through heat, pressure, and a whole lot of sweat. The Fire Forged Leader podcast serves the audience through exploring leadership at work, in the community, and with the family, using a practical perspective and real-life experiences from the host, Steve Baumgartner, and his guests in The Forge. Now, it's time to enter the Forge with the Fire Forged Leader.
Before I get started with this story, if my daughter hears this, sweetheart, I want you to know something before anything else, and that's that I love you tremendously, unconditionally. You're always going to be my little girl. But I also need you to know that real love, it doesn't mean that I agree with everything that you do. Real love, I found out in my 50 years that it speaks truth. It speaks truth even when it's hard. Now, back to you guys. My daughter, she's been through some real shit in her life. I'm not going to get into her story, but she's been through some things. And she's carried deep anger. Some at the situations that she was in, but she's also carried a lot of anger at me and her mom, but mainly at me and my values and the traditional things that I stand for as a man. Now, she's even come out as bisexual. Let me be clear for a minute. I don't condone that lifestyle like some parents who would simply change their value stream because their child told them something different. I believe that sinful behavior is still sinful behavior and love is still love. And I love my daughter and I will tell her that. But I'm also going to tell her when she has sinful behavior because I do love her and I want more for her. But I also believe this, that I failed as a father. I sat on the couch yelling at society. I did this while letting society raise my children for me. I was watching garbage on TV with them in the same room. I listened to music that degrades women. I treated their mother, my wife, with disrespect. And I blindly expected that my family was somehow to rise above my example? Absolutely not, guys. My daughter lived out the model that I gave her. I didn't build a lighthouse. I was just another loud, broken tugboat. Let me tell you guys about a conversation that I had with a friend of mine that absolutely wrecked me. It wrecked me in a good way, but it wrecked me nonetheless. So this friend of mine, we were talking about something that's not even related to the story that I just gave you. But I've applied this to my life in so many examples. But what he told me in that story was, Steve, you're trying to tug your family into the light, but you were called to be the light. And he explained that day the difference in between a tugboat and a lighthouse. And it hit me in the gut, hit me right square in the gut. And after I applied this to multiple situations in my life, I wanted to explain this concept to you a little bit. And some of my friends, they're going to be laughing right now because we talked about the tugboat and lighthouse ad nauseum. But I want to tell everybody else about it as well. The tugboat, it's always working. It's always pushing. it's always exhausted. This little tugboat, it tries to pull. And sometimes those other ships, they're not ready and it burns out. Trying to force this chains, trying to force this other boat down the river. And guys, that was me. I was trying to force my family. I was trying to force them through preaching that I wasn't living out. I was trying to force growth, but at the core, I was stuck myself. Let's look at the lighthouse for a second. The lighthouse, it doesn't move. It doesn't go out there and chase. It stands tall, anchored, unshakable, and it shines consistently. And that's important because it lets others choose to follow, but it doesn't exhaust its own energy. It's still there when the other person chooses to follow, when the boat sees it. That's the man that I needed to become. And that right there is the man that you were designed to be. I hope you guys are getting something out of this analogy from tugboat to lighthouse. And if you're ready to lead, I want to give you a small little framework that's going to help you start. Step one is you really need to anchor your own identity. So step one is anchoring your identity. I want you to get grounded in God's truth, not this cultural confusion. You need to define who you are. You need to claim who He says you are. And you need to filter every action that you take based on that identity. Step two, men, we need to reject passivity. Passivity, I'll be honest, it's the silent killer of all leadership. We need to speak up. When our daughter is wearing a dress that's too short, that's immodest, we need to speak up. When our wife is wearing something immodest out in public, for us it's a little bit different, but out in public, we need to speak up. Guys, we need to set the tone ourselves. We don't only speak up when there's some music or some trash TV show on, when other people in the house are watching or listening. We also need to set the tone ourselves. We need to listen to things that are congruent to what we believe. We need to watch things that are congruent to what we believe. If we're going to watch things, if we're going to listen to things. Feed your mind, feed your soul, and feed your family through the tone that you set. And guys, don't forget this. You have to lead even when it's uncomfortable. It's easy to go to that baseball game this time of year, right? And to sit there, even though you don't like it, while they're waving all their flags that they do during June. It's easy to sit there, but you have to lead. Yeah, you paid for the tickets. I get it. But you have to lead. Guys, right now, they are doing something out on that field that does not align with our value stream. We are going to leave this game right now, and we're going to go find something else to do. And your little boy's going to be upset. He is going to be upset. But guys, what about when he's 20? He's down there waving that flag himself because you never said anything. You never led. Whose fault is it then? Step 3. Guys, you got to clean your own house first. And we just talked about this a little bit. But you cannot rage about society if your own house is out of order. So go and do an audit. Do an audit of the media, the language, and the habits that you have. Guys, go out to your garage. What kind of pictures do you have hanging in your toolbox? Go out there and lead by example, guys. It is up to you to set and enforce the standards. But first you have to set them for yourself. And yours should be no different than your children's. You can't tell your kids not to cuss if you're cussing. If you talk that way in front of them, you are modeling the behavior that you expect. It's no different with the media that's in your house, the habits you have, or the language you use. Set and enforce the standards. Step 4, live consistently, not perfectly. Your family, what they need is they need stability. So show up, own your mistakes, shine through the storms. And what I'm talking about here, guys, is, you know what? Song comes on, you start to sing it, your daughter goes, you know what, Dad? I don't like the way that talked about women. You go, you know what, honey? And you shut it off and you apologize to her, stating that she was right, because that's the behavior that you want. You state that she was right, you own your mistake, and you apologize for it. And then you do better. Step 5, you need to build with brotherhood. You weren't meant to stand alone against society, guys. You gotta surround yourself with better men than what you're hanging around with today. Go look in their toolbox. If they have that picture of a woman in their toolbox, or they disrespect their wife, you have a talk with them about it. And if they want to argue, probably not the guy that you want in your life. You need men that can sharpen you as a man. And then last but not least, don't isolate, engage with this brotherhood. Guys, we do it alone way too often. We isolate ourselves. The lone wolf dies in the end. You need to engage with other men. Everybody has blind spots, guys. We all have blind spots. I have blind spots. I have men around me who help me see those blind spots and also help me to work through them. Engage with your brotherhood. Here's the good news, guys. It's not too late. The culture isn't too far gone. Your marriage isn't too far gone. Your legacy is not too far gone. But we can't wait. We can't keep yelling without acting. We can't just be angry. We have to become active. We are in control. Let me repeat that. We are in control of how this culture moves forward. We are the gatekeepers of our homes. We are the front lines of leadership. And guys, I've said it before, we were designed to lead, not just as men, but as husbands, as fathers, as leaders, and lighthouses for others. So if you're ready to stop dragging your ass, if you're ready to stop being the tugboat, step into the Forged Leader Blueprint. And this is where I will personally coach you through mind, body, and spiritual leadership, or look at joining the Knight's Order. That's a brotherhood of men who live by a code, they sharpen each other, and fight for legacy. Guys, this world isn't going to fix itself. And your family, they're not going to follow a man who's drifting. It's time to rise. It's time to lead. It's time to shine. So if you're pissed off about the way things are going, good. I asked you at the beginning of this, where were you when culture was being defiled? Now, don't get to the end of your life to have God ask you the same question.
You have just experienced the heat and pressure of the forge. Remember, words without action are meaningless. Now, after the heat of the forge, shape your thoughts, quench your brain, then put your new tools to use, adding to your leadership. Tune in next week for more lessons from the forge.